Hey Disney friends, it's Amber with MickeyTravels. I'm going to talk about the moderate resorts at the Walt Disney property today. I'm going to give you a list of reasons why I love them so much and hopefully will influence you to consider looking into those if you're trying to decide between a value or a deluxe and then realize that a moderate may be the best fit for you. So stay tuned. All right, so in no particular order, I've got a list here to share with you. We have stayed in moderates for the past 3 trips. Lots of things that I love about them. I know a lot of them are under construction currently as this video is being filmed in 2017 in the fall. So that's a Debbie Downer for that. But most of these are all positives. I don't really have a ton of negatives with the exception of maybe, again, the construction. And 2, they are really large, and so walking could be an issue for you. So that's why you consider a different room type to get you close if you need that situation. So overall, these are some great positive things that I love about the moderate resorts. So here we go. Number 1, price. Although the deluxe resorts are fantastic, they can maybe be out of your price range. And maybe you think that the value resorts are just too many kids running around and you necessarily don't like the room size or bed size. So that's why you go moderate. It's just slightly higher. I've seen lately that Pop Century's rooms to maybe Port Orleans Riverside is within hundreds of dollars when it comes to the price difference there. But then when you compare it to a deluxe, it could almost be $1,000 difference just for the same amount of time. So they are reasonably priced, and you do get lots of cool upgrades. 2, to these signs. 2, the moderate resorts are very isolated. You feel like you're in a completely different world, and I know you get that anyway with Walt Disney World, but with a moderate, it's, they have the way everything's set up. They're so spread out, and you've got tons of buildings everywhere. You may have some sort of water feature, and it just feels like you're in an all-inclusive resort if you went somewhere maybe in a different island or something like that. You don't really see a ton of the Disney theming because they're all themed individually, so that also makes it feel like you're isolated. Like you've stepped away from the Disney magic for just a second, but then you're going to see subtle hints of Disney everywhere you look anyway. It's just a more adult version and kind of that little getaway if you're needing that. Number 3, all of the beds at moderate resorts are going to either be king if you just do the 1 bed, or they're going to be queen if you have the doubles, if you have 2 beds in a room. Now, values only have double beds right now, and I know they're refurbing Pop to include queens, and then, of course, the deluxe are going to have queens and some other options, but queen beds is huge because some people only want queen beds, maybe because they prefer more of the room, and moderates are all going to have that option for you. Their room size is also a little bigger. If you compare, the value resorts are going to be the smallest rooms, and moderates are there in the middle. So you do have a little more space, especially if you have more than the 4 people in your room, which that's another reason, and I'll get to that in a second. Number 4, they are very quiet. That was something that we noticed. We stayed recently at Coronado, and I've also stayed at Port Orleans Riverside, going back to Coronado in November, but we hardly heard anybody. We were even close to a pool, so it wasn't loud and chaotic, and in fact, I barely saw any kids when we stayed at either of them. It's just so spread out that you don't really hear the noise, and so the only issue with noise may be if you're near the main pool or if you get near an elevator, which you can request on your online check-in to not be near an elevator. So we do love that they're super quiet, super quaint, everything is just nice and relaxing, because sometimes you need that on a Disney vacation. Number 5 kind of ties in with that. These are very kid-friendly resorts, don't get me wrong. You've got the pools and then the other activities for kids. There's an arcade, just like all the other resorts, but this is not in-your-face kids everywhere compared to what a value may be. So with the All-Star Sports and the Art of Animation, especially with that pool, more kids do tend to stay there. I know at the All-Star Sports, especially during competition time, it's going to be all kids. So you may see young children, and you may have young children of your own, so that's something to consider, that there won't be other kids running around everywhere at this place. So it's going to be more family style for you. Number 6, there are multiple pools at these resorts. The values usually feature 1 main pool and then maybe 1 or 2 smaller pools, and these do have a similar setup like that. They have the big main pool, which has some sort of major water feature. There's the giant pyramid and the water slide at Coronado. But then they also feature a swimming pool near almost all the different types of rooms. So like at Coronado, you have the cabanas and the casanistas, and they have their own pool set for that. So there's more than 3 at the moderate resorts. So you do have an option if you don't want to go to the big pool where everyone's at. You have a smaller pool near where your room is. 7. Moderate resorts feature the quick service food court just like the values do, and then they also have a table service. Now, deluxe restaurants have more than one table service. That's the major difference. So you'll have your food court option if you want something fast, and you can consider making reservations to dine at their table service. So say you have a night out where you are just doing the pool at your resort. Maybe you want to have dinner, but you want it to be nice. So you can request a dining reservation at your sit-down place at your moderate resort. We've dined at a few of them, and nothing like to write home about as far as like something that maybe everyone does all the time, but it's really good food, and it's nice, again, if you don't want to get on a bus for dinner when you've been chilling all day, or you just woke up from a nap and maybe don't want to go back to a park. If I messed up my numbers or not, but this is number 8, and I feel like I already said that, but maybe I didn't. Okay. Number 8, I like to feature just Coronado Springs for a second because it is a little different than the rest of the moderates. Coronado Springs, I like to call a moderate plus. All of the deluxes feature amenities such as spa and the massages. Well, Coronado also has a spa and massage place, and they also feature suites where you can have like concierge service that you can only get at the deluxe. So that kind of ties in with my price thing. It may be a really good deal because you're paying for concierge prices, but at a moderate level. Now, I know recently with the refurbs that the business classes have been the ones that are being refurbed. Like the rooms are not there right now. So hopefully when that new building comes into place, we'll still have that option to have that really cool suite and concierge service for a moderate price. Another moderate that's a little different is the cabins at Fort Wilderness. Those are considered moderates, and those feature, it is a cabin with a kitchen, full-size kitchen, and then the queen bed, I believe, and 2 bunk beds, and then the living room furniture for people to sleep. So those can sleep 6. Now, with Fort Wilderness, you do have some other options there as far as some of these other things that come into play. I just wanted to chime in here and let you know it is considered a moderate. I just usually don't touch it when it comes to comparing some of these things because it is slightly different. Number 9 is a big one for most of my families. The moderate resorts, unlike the value, can sleep 5 people in one room. Port Orleans Riverside and Caribbean Beach have the pull-down Murphy bed in their rooms to where you have the 2 queens and then that to allow you to sleep 5. So that is going to be cheaper, a moderate standard with that, than it is to be a suite at the value resorts. So something to keep in mind there. And I price out both options for most of my clients so they can see that you may be a little more crowded in there, but you're getting a moderate resort for a better price than being in a value suite. Again, it's a standard room though, so you're not getting like the kitchen like you would in the value, so that's something to think about. The transportation at the moderate resorts all offer the bus transportation to the parks, and that is the only way to get to parks. Unless you're at Fort Wilderness, which they do have a ferry to Magic Kingdom, so that's why I put that one aside. But yes, they all have the bus service just like the values do. They also, 2 of them, Port Orleans Riverside and French Quarter, have a ferry that can take you to Disney Springs. So that's an alternative way to get around. Now, the difference here is at value resorts, you have that one bus stop that everyone goes to in the front. So your room, if it's really far away, that's a really long walk for you. The moderate resorts, unlike any of the resorts, like Deluxe doesn't really have this either, has multiple stops. So if you are in the back, there's a bus stop for you there, and you can wait and they'll pick you up, and they make like a loop. And they drop everyone off or pick everyone up and then head where they're going. Big plus. The downside to that is you may have buses pass you if it's super crowded when you go. So you want to be sure when you check in to find out where the first bus stop is so that you can make sure to try to get to that one if you think it's going to be crowded. I'm talking like Christmas time when it's going to be majorly insane with crowds. That's my list of reasons why the moderates are one of my favorite places to stay. There's so many good things about them. I like the fact that they feel different than the other ones. I mean, you cannot go wrong with deluxes, and I hope and pray to stay at some in the future. To find it feasible for my budget and for the amount of time that we stay. And the time of year that we go, it just makes more sense to do moderates for us. So that's my spiel. If you have any questions about a Disney vacation, be sure to let me know in the comments or email me and Facebook me. You can find that information in the comments below. If you're interested in seeing like film of some of these resorts, like they do entire videos of tours, you need to check out Resort TV 1. They are a great source here on YouTube. And they're actually now affiliated with MickeyTravels, so they work with us, and we highly recommend you check them out because they live in Florida, unlike me. Darn. They live in Florida, and they do go often, so they do tons of those tours of properties. So if you want to look at the different types of hotels, they are a great source to look into. Have a magical day. I will see you all soon. Bye.